I feel like this could truly be my most important video yet, and for two reasons. The sheer size of the structures, the stone constructs I'm going to show you in this video are completely mysterious. They're made of stones this big and they're 10 feet tall in this mega cluster. One of the most incredible sites I've ever found, but also because I found this and a bunch of other sites on the other side of the ancient Champlain Sea, thereby further validating this possible connection between these ancient people and that ancient shoreline of 10,000 years ago. This is going to be really fun. Welcome back to another video, everyone. Look, please share and like and subscribe to my channel because I really think we're getting close here. I'm not doing this to monetize the channel. I'm not trying to make a living out of this. I'm doing this because I think that the world needs to know about this and we could all be helped by it somehow. But also, stick around to the end of this video because the big site, the really mind-blowing site, is at the end of the video. So I'm gonna work up to it. I found 6 sites here. Let's get into this. When I left Le Terrain 2 weeks ago for what I thought would be a quick trip to Montreal, I had no idea that I'd end up on the other side of the ocean, or ancient sea. That's the Champlain Sea, hundreds of kilometers away, in a hot spot of ancient mega sites. If you've been following my channel, you know that for a few years now I've found that there's got to be a connection with elevation, and that connection may very well be that the people who made the constructs were somehow seafaring people that lived on the shorelines and in the great archipelagos of around the shores of the ancient Champlain Sea that existed 10,000 years ago. So I've always wanted to venture out and try to make the map and find as many sites as I can around the ancient Champlain Sea. Well, in the past few months, people have reached out with a lot more sites that I got to come and see, and a lot of them happen to be right around that ancient shoreline. So I found myself right on the other side of this ancient sea in the eastern townships of Quebec, where I'd heard that there were some constructs. And man, I found 6 sites in 6 days. So they are everywhere around there. So that's the first big validation. The second big revelation here is that I found 2 major agricultural walls, farmers' walls, that morph into these great cairns, kind of proving that the cairns that are illogically associated with the farmers are part of a mega complex that involves farming walls. And so some walls are made by the farmers, but not all are. Now, of these 6 sites, 3 of them were tips I got from people around me, and 3 of them I found on my own. But the point is, they were all within, I don't know, a 30-kilometer radius, and they were all within about 20 kilometers, even less, of that ancient shoreline. The first site I found was a cute little site on my dear old friend Carrie's land. We've been friends for 30 plus years. We used to play music together in Montreal, and she put me up for the whole week I was there. Thank you, Carrie. You are the best. And we visited her beautiful chunk of land in the eastern townships, and sure enough, we found a little wall. Here we have this little serpent wall that makes no sense as a boundary because it's short. It makes no sense as holding in livestock. And then we found 3 more little cairns. 2 of them I was scratching my head around, but the thing is, they were so close together they don't make sense as clearing piles. And one of them was stacked, pretty short, but if you can see here, it was very intentionally stacked. Farmers just didn't do that if they were making these piles. The second site I found on my own. I was on my way to one of the highest mountains around there. I'm going to be vague about these actual specific locations for obvious reasons, but I turned up one road and just saw it out of the corner of my eye. It was still the beginning of my trip, but have a look at these. You know, I was thinking I need more to make it an actual site. I need more to be sure. But as the week went on, in retrospect, the fact that there were everywhere. Makes me think that this was one of them. Now, the next site I visited was way up a mountain, 550 meters. And I asked myself, did farmers build way up there? I mean, they built more on the lowlands, as I've said before, but 550 meters, I mean, this is not optimal farmland by any means. And I was also thinking, the further back you go, this farm was so old that it had disappeared. There were no signs of the farm, no talk of the family on this plaque. If you look carefully through the forest along the trails, you might notice the few apple trees still standing. These, as well as the stone wall, well, there's many stone walls and terraces, bear witness of the agricultural past of this location. And the walls were kilometers long. I mean, that's a lot of work. These are big, huge walls, many of them crisscrossing and no really discernible logical reason for them, kilometers long. With no sign of the farm, no talk of the historic family that was there. I mean, this farm is so old, why were they going 550 meters up there? But still, I was like, okay, it's a mystery. I'm not going to say for sure this is ancient, but it seems pretty suspicious to me. But let's get on to the third site. Oh no, we're on to the fourth site. This is another one that I just saw as I drove by. Oh, there's something. Stopped the truck and got out. Sure enough, there was a cluster of pretty large cairns, more like mounds. They're not constructed, but they were, within sight of each other. So it doesn't make sense as a clearing pile. They really had the signature of intentioned, shaped cairns, mounds, if you will. And so this was pretty cool. This was right by a creek. There was that site. So we're on to number 5. Number 5 was really cool. It's another old friend of mine, close friend, another musician who's lived in the townships forever. His family has a beautiful property up there. It's an old farm, so there's the pasture land, there's the fields, and these were way in the forest. They were on very steep, craggy land. There was a creek running through there as well. Just a beautiful spot. There wasn't any sign of any farming up there, but there was this beautiful cluster of 9 small mounds. And, it makes me wonder if there's any significant, does size matter? I don't think so. What matters is farmers or not. And these were clearly not farmers' piles, because why were there 9 within, 50 to 100 feet of each other in this beautiful cluster of 9 small mounds? They were all the exact same. They were about this high, about 4 feet or so, with about a 15-foot diameter. Let's get to the final site here. This is the one we've all been waiting for. I can't believe this. These are the biggest stones I've ever seen. Look at this cluster. Now this is up the same mountain, 550 meters high, on this very steep there's only new roads up there, new roads for like fancy houses, new development. There didn't seem to be old roads by the way they looked. I was going off trail through the bush. This was another tip from someone. Thank you. You know who you are. This site was colossal, extraordinary, insane. These were the biggest cairns I've ever seen. It started kind of organically, walking through this bush off trail in the pouring rain. A little nervous, I have to say, to be honest, because these big mountains are easier to get lost in. But it started with a couple of okay, well, this doesn't make sense. It looks like a pile, looks like a mound. There's some walls around. My spidey senses are tingling. I'm finding more and more. But it's all still sort of like, is this a farmer's wall? It looks like an ancient wall. Where are the real bingo proofs here? And then I came across this big mound. Have a look at this. This is like a lovely oval shape, but it's just huge. It's made of small stones. You could argue that this is a clearing pile, but it's all about context. And within the context of this site, here's the imprint of them all. It starts to make no sense that this was recent and that this was ancient. But then we got into the big boys. I mean, oh my God. Oh my God. size of these stones. Oh my God. This has got to be the 10-foot tall ones they were talking about. This is absolutely unbelievable. Look at the size of this thing. Greetings from the south shore of the ancient Champlain Sea. I never thought they would be this huge and this many. So look, there's the big huge one up there. There's a mound right beside it, right there. And then there's this wall that goes all the way down here, all the way down to this big mound we're approaching now here. Oh, so interesting. So interesting. Mound and construct hybrid. Now look at these stones. There's the wall right there. Look at this. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Oh my God. Look at the size of these stones. It's a hybrid. I just have not seen this style before. Massive, massive stones on top, just massive. And then this smaller mound, small stone mound. Okay, there's the last big, huge cairn. The one before it was up here. Now here, another wall. Another massive stone wall, like so close. So close to the other ones. Look at this. This place is incredible. A wall that ends in a construct. This definitely has something to do with the water. Look at the size of these stones. And so the water flows from underneath it. A hat for scale. Look at this structure. And look at this fitting here. How wannabe polygonal is that? And how much has it moved over time? I can't believe it. Look at the size of this. These stones up here are so big. Okay, we have this over 10-foot structure. Goes all the way down to there. And amongst it all, yet another big wall leading to what looks like a stone mound. Oh my God.
Okay, this wall I'm walking on is a good 7 or 8 feet tall. The amount of stones here is just ridiculous. Oh gosh, and it curves around, gently curves here into the slope and up. Look at this beauty. Wow, okay. Yeah, there's just no way. This is not practical, ladies and gentlemen, to make these walls. Yeah, it's like 7 feet tall here. About 10 feet wide. And it stops. It stops here. It just stops here. Where's my car? What? Without this.
I'm not claiming to have proved anything here. I'm not claiming to prove anything in all of my videos. I'm just suggesting that there's perhaps this big chapter in North America that we've somehow not seen yet. And I think we're getting really close to tipping this over the edge into validation and acceptance that there was this massive culture here building with stone, perhaps in reverence to the astral bodies, perhaps seafaring, and they just had a enormous footprint from up here all around the Champlain seashore all the way through New England to Tennessee. And I just think it's so important for so many different reasons, for spiritual reasons, for reasons of our shared history. This can bring us together. This can help us find our way, I feel like. So please stick with me, share, and we'll see you perhaps on the ancient shoreline. Take care and thanks.